Hi, and welcome to the Fearless Career. My name is Eric. Before we get started, I want to share a little story on how the Fearless Career was created and the outcome that I deeply hope will have for you. During the early years in my career, there was one main fear that drove my decisions at work, and that was the fear of hearing the words, "You're fired." I'm the sole provider for my little family, so that means that we heavily depended on my job. And that's quite a bit of pressure. So I developed certain habits at work. If I was busy, but I was given more work, I would accept it, no questions asked. If I didn't agree on a decision, I would just keep quiet. Basically, many times I had something to say, but I just didn't say it. And as a result, I became a victim of my circumstances. And this was a problem. And it began to impact me mentally, emotionally, even physically at one point. Not speaking up at work led to much unhappiness, stress, anxiety, frustration, finger pointing, and just about every negative emotion you can think of at work. And then the bigger problems came, because these began to follow me home. I would come home upset, with a short fuse, not willing to do anything other than eat a meal and sit in front of the TV. My relationships with my wife and daughter began to deteriorate. These communication lines at home started to break and disappear until the moment I realized something was going horribly wrong. I couldn't keep putting band-aids on my family problems anymore. My daughter was afraid to speak with me. My wife and I would argue about almost everything. And by the time I woke up and realized what was happening, and realized that my family was breaking, I felt completely stuck. My career was impacting my family was impacting my career, and both were starting to just fall apart rapidly. So, after feeling sorry for myself, I started to work to dig myself out of that hole I had dug myself into. And it was during this time that I was introduced to the idea of psychological safety. This idea brought about by an amazing lady named Amy Edmondson. And she explained that psychological safety is the belief that you won't be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or mistakes. And to me, this belief was liberating. This belief is what allows you to be completely honest, to be transparent, authentic, to be you. Something I had not done and not been for a long time, and now I was taking its toll. So I tried to implement psychological safety, but it always seemed like it was a gift from management and my company. If my company didn't have a culture of psychological safety, I wouldn't feel safe, and fear would creep back into my work. But here was my mistake. My mistake was that I was leaving psychological safety up to my managers, my leaders, my company, and though I tried my best to trust them with my psychological safety, it was never fully there. But there had to be more, or at least I told myself. I don't want to be at the mercy of my employer. And then it dawned on me. Psychological safety, though greatly impacted by those in leadership, is equally or more so impacted by me. But then the question became, how can I create psychological safety for myself? What am I afraid of, and what does that fear look like? Well, at its core, my fear was that I won't be able to provide for my family. It's the fear of hearing the words "you're fired," the fear of losing my job. And in turn, that translated to my silent compliance, to overworking, to not standing up for myself, to not standing up for my family, to not speaking up, not challenging the system, not admitting my mistakes. And everything that seemed wrong at work seemed to stem from that fear. So again, how can I create psychological safety for myself? And the answer came from a quote I had heard many times before. If you are prepared, ye shall not fear. Before, I was afraid because I didn't know what would happen if I stood up, spoke up, and got fired. I was afraid to be at the mercy of the job hunt. I didn't know how long I could last without a job, nor how long it would take me to find another. I didn't even know what job I'd be looking for next, and what happens if that job isn't any better. In fact, there were just so many unknowns, yet it was all because I had made no preparations for it. And instead of facing the possibility of preparing accordingly, I chose to ignore it and remained enslaved. But never again. And that's when the Fearless Career was born. So, welcome to the Fearless Career, where you will prepare for your future so you don't have to fear it. So you can stand up, speak up, and be yourself at work. So that you can defend your precious family and yourself. So that you can become the master of your career and enjoy your life to the fullest. See you there.